and welcome to Facebook Live on, I don't even know what day it is, Wednesday evening. Oh, it's bad, isn't it? I didn't know which day it was. Okay, so I've got some people joining me. Oh, poke myself in the eye, that's a good one. A good way to start. Right, bear with me while I just get my computer up. See if it's come on. Yes, okay, I'm really sorry. I have to apologise because I can't get my camera to switch round. So I'm having to do it this way and I'm going to be really disappointed because we've got horrible black lines down either side. So I am sorry, but it won't move and I don't know what I've done to my phone. So hi Lynn, hi Maxine, hi Joe, hi Sarah, hi Trisha, hi Jill, hi Carol, hi Jane, hi Elaine. Right, I've caught up with the phone now, so that's good. Let's put that up there. So yes, we could even come a little closer. Come closer. Hi Jackie. Okay, so this is very impromptu. I was watching a video this morning of somebody who I quite often watch and admire immensely for her card making talents, which is Jennifer McGuire. And she had this little, it's not a little video, it's a lovely video. She got this tip for doing like cards that will go flat. Let me turn it around that way. So it go flat, fold flat to go in an envelope, but then when you take it out of the envelope, it springs up. And I'm going to show you how to make a dimensional card. And it's just so clever, and I thought I must show you because it's brilliant. Okay, sorry, I've missed some people now. So where I got to, I'd got to Jackie, I think. So hi Catherine and Mary and Nola and Katie and Claire and Penny and Anne and Kathy and Helen. So thank you for joining me. And hi Linda. Linda, I must remember to bank your cheque. I haven't put it in the bank yet. It's in my purse, I keep forgetting. Hi Val, hi Hazel. So, okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to flip the camera and it's really annoying me that the camera won't switch around to be landscape. But anyway, I'll switch the camera around and I'll show you what we need to do. So bear with me. I only hope I can get it positioned right now. Now you're going to see all the bits you're not meant to see because the phone's not going to be in the right orientation. Never mind, good job I hid some things, isn't it? Didn't hide everything though. Let's just move that, just in case there's any notes on there. Oh yeah, well I'll say that at the end. I'll come back and talk to you at the end. So we've also got Carol and Judith and Dawn and Jane and Catherine. So thank you ever so much for joining me. This is lovely. Okay, so the card that I saw was a bit more like this one. And these are my butterflies where I had butterflies and dies. So they're not, I don't know that there's any stock anywhere anymore. So I didn't want to make this card. I wanted to do a very similar thing, but use a different stamp. But I wanted to show you for anybody, the people who have got the butterfly dies, then you can do it. You can actually do it with anything that's, it doesn't even have to be symmetrical really. Once you know how to do it, and it's so clever, you can really adapt it for just about anything. But see the detail that you get when they, like so they fold flat, completely flat to go in a card, in an envelope. So yes, definitely go check Jennifer McGuire out and watch her video. But I thought I would change it so you don't have to have a die as well. I've just cut round my vellum stamped image, my daisy blooms, and put them onto my card, but they've got that dimension, so it's still lovely and it's popped up beautifully, but it'll still go flat to go in an envelope. So to start off with, I'm going to be using the buttons and blooms. I put that there to get rid of the horrible light. In fact, I wonder if I move over slightly. There we go, might be all right. Okay, so I have a piece of vellum. Now my vellum is actually quite thin. If you've got heavier weight vellum, then I think that would be even better. But it does work with thin vellum as well. So first of all, I'm going to stamp my daisy blooms. Oh, this, I don't like this with the camera. It's so awkward being the other way round. And I just can't work out what I've done why it won't flip round. Anyway, so got my piece of vellum. I'm going to just stamp out my daisies. Oops. So pick it up, and my stamp needs cleaning desperately. It's losing its stick. So I will give it a nice bath in hot soapy water and then rinse it and leave it on the draining board to dry. So I've used my anti-static bag. I'm going to ink my stamp up. And stamp this out. And making sure I get all those nice centres of those flowers. Not so much with vellum, but you can quite easily re-ink and stamp it again if you're not sure if you've got the whole design, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So then I need a piece of scrap card and my lovely tub of Wow embossing powder. Highly recommend these big tubs. Oh, it's like a game changer having a big pot. It's wonderful. So tip the excess off. Make sure I haven't got anything bits where I don't want it. So that's looking lovely. Pop the excess back in and put the lid on because I don't want to spill that. Okay, so then I'm going to heat this. Let's put the cards back there, get rid of that horrible light. So I'm going to use the #1 heat setting. This is about the only time I use #1 on my heat tool is when I'm doing vellum. So put it on and let it warm up. And then once you're giving it a little, a few seconds just to get warm, white embossing melts really quickly. So almost as soon as I go to this, you can actually see it changing. So just go systematically over the design and work your way down. As soon as it goes raised and shiny, then you can move your heat source away. You can heat from underneath quite easily. Just check that. Yep, so I've got everything there. It's lovely and shiny, looks beautiful. So then I would colour this in next before I start cutting it out. So I'm going to use a water brush. It's going to move that over slightly, make sure it's still in shot. Yep. And I'm going to put a little bit of green, a little bit of pink. I did a pink one on this one, but I'm going to do a yellow. I've got a yellow bit of pattern paper, so I'm going to bring in Wild Honey as well, because I've got, instead of having the pink piece of paper, pattern paper, I've got a yellowy one. You could do an inky background with it and you could do it without the same inks, but this is actually a piece of pattern paper and I'm just going to use the yellow side because I wanted to have something different from the pink one. So I'm just going to start painting and adding some colour to my embossing, and I'm just going to do like half of the petals, and then I'm going to bring the pink into the bottom, so I'm going to have two tones to my petals. Now, one thing I found this morning, as I coloured, because I'm using a water brush to put the colour on, obviously the vellum is going to take, has got to absorb the water, and vellum is not very porous, which is why it's quite heavy when you post vellum out. But it's not very porous, so it's going to take a little while for that to actually sink in, and what happens is you find that your vellum will curl a little bit. So I'm going to show you a trick that I discovered. You may know it already, but I didn't know it, and I suddenly thought, I wonder, and it worked. So I will show you that in a second. So then I'm going to take the pink and just bring that up to meet that Wild Honey. Go back and pick up any extra ink that you need if you're feeling like the colour's not strong enough. You can go back in and do it over again as well if you need to. So just adding that colour, and again onto the bigger. I'm going to turn it round because I find it easier. And then we can go in and we can really blend those colours together if you want to. It's entirely up to you. Actually looks a bit like fruit salads to me. So just, and it's lovely because you've got that white embossing. It's lovely to colour up against because you've got that lovely edge of the embossing that holds all that colour in place. Now, at the moment, it's not curling, so that's really good. If it does curl, I'll share the trick anyway, but I will show you if it starts curling. Okay, so just adding some colour to my leaves. And then I'm going to add a little bit of colour to the stems as well, because I was going to leave them white, and then I thought, I think I'd really like a little bit of green, just to almost to highlight them. So I just literally picked up a bit of colour, got my brush as flat as I could, and I do need a new water brush. I must remember to sort one out, because my nibs, I've worked out, I probably had this about 5 years, so I think it's about time I treated myself. I use it all the time. There's not many cards I make that I haven't used the water brushed with it. Okay, so I'm quite happy with how that's looking. It's all coloured. My vellum is starting to buckle a little bit because that's the water. So what I'm going to do is I tried drying it on the other side to help smooth it out. But we'll wait and see if it actually does curl. It might be when I cut it out, because it's being held in place at the moment because it's still in the sheet of vellum. Okay, so as long as that's looking dryish, which it is, so get my scissors and I'm going to cut it out. So I'm going to cut it and just leave a border. You can leave as big a border as you want. It doesn't matter. You can cut quite close, or you can leave the border like I am. We're only going to apply some glue down the middle of our design to hold that onto the front of our card. Other than that, it's sort of just floating. So it's entirely up to you on the size of the edge that you give to the piece of vellum. And we will see when I stop cutting if it starts curling up. And if it does, I will show you the trick. And if it doesn't, I will tell you the trick. So, like I say, this will work with almost any symmetrical design, but it doesn't have to be symmetrical, as you can see from this. When you start to see what you actually do to make the pop-up happen, you can start applying that to different designs and shapes of dies that you have. It would look beautiful with a heart. I did think about doing the circle. All right, it's doing it now. I thought it might. So now you can see that it's really curling up. Okay, and that would be really hard to put that down on my card. So what I did was I turned it over and I painted the back with some colour. And so what that's doing is it's putting the moisture into the other side of the vellum, and so eventually this will lay flat. So we'll help with the drying of it once we've painted all the petals. So really it's just putting that moisture back into the wrong side of your work, and I promise it will lay flat. I don't think it won't matter what colour I use. You might see a little bit more of the colour from the front, but it's actually because it's the water that's making it. So when you trying to think when you wet one side of something, it's best to wet the other side as well, and that will help it. When you seal something, isn't it? That's right. When you seal something, so if you seal the other side as well, then it helps to make it lay flat. So just by adding that bit of water to the back and now drying that, Now look what's happened to our design. It's gone lovely and flat, ready to go on our card. You could do it to the leaf area as well if you wanted to, because this is still curling up a little bit, but I'm quite happy for that because when you actually do the pop-up bit, it works beautifully. So if you ever do that with vellum and it curls, just paint the other side and it will lay nice and flat for you. Okay, so let's get rid of this bit of ink. I don't want to get that on my card. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate my piece of card, and I used Hazel's Happy Birthday stencil for this. So I'm going to bring wild honey back in. Got a yellow brush ready. Going to put a nice lot of ink on my brush and make sure that I've got my stencil is straight with my piece of card. Doesn't matter where it is on my piece of card, but as long as it's straight. And then I'm just going to pick out areas. I don't want to do it all. You can do it all if you want to. But I just picked out areas of the stencil. Don't worry about the middle too much because that's where my flowers are going. You can have a peek and see if it's done enough, whether you want to do it all, whether you need some more ink, whether you need a darker ink, whatever. So just hold it all in place, but then carefully pull back your stencil and check that you like how it looks. And I'm happy with that. That's looking nice. You've got some interest on there without it being overpowering. Okay, so let's bring this back in and wipe that ink up. Being very tidy tonight. Good job you didn't see it like 10 minutes ago. Okay, so I've got a 6x4 card and made sure that I've cut this down so this is going to fit on beautifully on there. So put some glue on the back. It's almost a shame to cover that pretty paper up. I think this was from a Craft Consortium pad, I think. So make sure your edges are nicely down. Be careful with your fingers on the inking because it won't be dry. Not just yet. And it's also a coated paper, so you do have to be a bit careful. I have the habit of going like this with it and then I smudge everything, so I'm trying hard not to. Okay, so we're now ready to put our flowers on here and create our pop-up. So this is the magic bit, and what it is you need a piece of acetate, and it is quite heavyweight acetate, and you do need strong acetate. And what you do, I've just cut a 5cm strip. You don't need it as long as this, but it's a really good idea to do more than you need, because once you've done this once, you'll be like, oh, I could do it with this, and oh, I could make this pop out, and I could do that. So I would make a longer strip because you'd be making more, I promise. So I came in just 1 centimetre, because all you want to do is have a little bit that's going to fold back. So I think 1 centimetre is absolutely fine, and it worked perfectly on the cards that I did. So I score it a couple of times, and that puts a line in it. And because it's thick acetate, when you actually fold this back and flatten it really well with the end of your scoring tool, because it's what's called a memory, so it remembers to stay creased. So you can't open that up now. That's like, it looks like a V or part of a tick. Okay, so then you want some strong double-sided, and I'm going to use red liner tape because I think if you want strong, you go for red liner tape. And we're going to put the red liner tape just on that little piece, that 1 centimetre piece that we've folded back. Okay, so now you have a whole strip ready to work the magic. Sometimes it's a good job to burnish that on because it'll be easier to get the backing paper off. Okay, now you can cut with scissors or you can cut with a guillotine. You need to cut this down into strips to use to actually make the pop out. These are going to do the pop out pieces. So you don't need it too wide. And I'm obviously going to cut a bit of that excess off the end there because I don't want it to show. So it really doesn't matter what size you use. When I did the butterflies for these little ones, if I pull this back, you might be able to see them. This is a really little thin piece of acetate. Okay, and then the ones behind the bigger butterfly is a big piece of acetate. So you can alter them for the size of whatever it is you're making pop up. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to put some glue down the stem and just down the stem of my flower, and I'm going to stick this down on my card where I want it to be. Now the glue might show through a little bit, but as it dries it will disappear, and I've been really lucky, it hasn't really shown. So that's now stuck on, but it's like just loose on my card. So then I'm going to take the V piece, I'm going to take the tape off, and the tape part turns over and gets stuck behind the flower towards the centre onto the pattern paper. So the long part is sticking upwards. And then we can take our scissors and we can trim this so that it's hidden behind our flower. Okay, then we do the same the other side. We take the red liner tape off, we turn it over, and we stick that piece down behind our flower onto the pattern paper so the long end is sticking up, and then we can lift the flower out of the way and trim it so we can't see the acetate. Get rid of those. So now we have that pop-up behind here. Now you can move the the bits of acetate so you make the wings higher, you can flatten them down a little bit, but this will flatten down to go in an envelope, and then when the person opens it, it springs back up because of that memory that it has. So then we can add a sentiment to the front of our card, and I think, don't they look lovely just in those two different colours? I'm so glad I did different colour, because I think it's so nice to see, you know, the variety rather than seeing the same exactly the same card again. Okay, so I had a little bit of black card here. We've got a bit of black card, and we'll put that move these cards out of the way and pop this back in my press. I'll put it there so you should be able to see that then. And obviously, because I put my fingers all over the bit of card like I always do, going to take the anti-static bag. Then I'm going to use, from the Buttons and Blooms out of the garden, I love this one, wishing you a wonderful day. So I'm going to take that stamp, put it on there. No, I don't need to take the other one out at the moment. And then I'm going to use my embossing ink pad and just ink up the sentiment. And then stamp that down, fairy fingers, because it's a sentiment and I spent a long time making them lovely and fine, and we don't want to make them all fat and horrible. So fairy fingers, and then bring our embossing powder back in. And give that a good tap. Okay. I'm going to show you a little trick actually with the white embossing on black, because I've got a few speckles here, but I'm going to show you a trick. Okay, so now I can put this on heat setting 2, because it's just back onto cardstock now, and then take that, move the heat tool in, and emboss my sentiment. The one thing that I always forget to do is I could do it from underneath. I'm just cooling it down a little bit, because the other thing I forget to do is I forget to wipe any of the anti-static bag off of it. Okay, so I'll trim it down first, because then I can show you what I was going to show you. Okay, so I'm going to make this as thin as I can. So lining everything up, making sure it looks about straight. And then trim some more off the other end. Okay, and I like to trim sometimes at an angle. This is something that Marion does a lot, and I think it's just, I don't know, just add something, a little bit of interest without adding anything else. Once you've cut one, you can then place this in here, and you can use the edge of here on one of your lines to make sure you cut the same shaped end for the other piece, for the other end. So you get the angles the same. Yay! I said the right thing. Okay, so a little trick, because I always get little bits of black that I don't want. So all I need, well, I better find one now, is a black Sharpie or a black pen. And anywhere where you've got little white dots, just go over with your Sharpie, and that will get rid of it, and it won't show. It'll dry into the piece of card, because I always end up with little bits I don't want, and then I feel like it spoils it. So yeah, that's a little tip. Okay, so let's bring our card back in, and I'm going to use these fabulous Hunky Dory strips that I absolutely love for my sentiments. And I'm going to put one piece along the bottom, and they come in two widths. So they come in this wider width, and then they come in this little skinny width as well, which is great for some of the words. So we just need a little bit more. And pop that down. And then take the backing off. I've got no nails at the moment. I don't know what's happening. I'll break my nails again. Okay, so then I'm going to place this down, and I wanted to put that over my stem. Want to make sure I get the card straight though. Put my head in front of the camera. So I hope I haven't. Okay, so then it definitely needs a few glosses, and I really liked the white glosses with this one. Thought it really pulled your eye to that sentiment. So I'm going to put one up there, one there, and then we'll have one towards the bottom here. And actually, because I can, I'm going to have one up there, one over there, and one over there. So I've still done everything in threes, but sometimes I've used two and sometimes I've used one. So, brilliant way to create that pop-up that it will instantly fit nice and flat into your envelope. But I wanted to give you those variations as well. So love the butterflies. So if you've got butterflies, it's a great way to do it. Anything symmetrical works really easily. I was going to stamp, what I did think would look nice was the floral buttons. So if I'd have used this one and done it on a circle, use the dinky circles, that one would look lovely, but it would pop up as well. You can also do it onto acetate as well. So if you wanted to stamp and emboss on acetate and then have acetate butterflies, great way for using up inky backgrounds. So this was just an old inky background I had. Any pattern papers. So yeah, I just thought it was a really fun technique. Go check out Jennifer McGuire's YouTube channel, because it's on there. I think it's the second to last video that she's done, but she's got, honestly, yeah, you'll love it. So I love her work and totally inspired by that, and I wanted to share it. So I'm just going to bring the camera around again. Bear with me. If I can remember what to do. I need to flip the camera and then try and put it back on me. Oh, okay, sorry. I won't rotate it. I wanted to, but you wouldn't let me, Mr. Facebook. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. I thought that was a really lovely, I was really quite pleased. It was a very pretty little card. So yeah, I think it'd be a nice technique to try. You could do it with hazel stars. Hazel stars on velvet, or the fern. Oh, that would look lovely. The fern stamped and embossed in white and then die cut out or even hand cut out. But you've got the dies. Oh, yeah, that would look nice. The other thing I wanted to say was please put in your diaries next Thursday, 8 p.m. here on Facebook. Something very exciting. And it's a good job I didn't turn the camera around because it's all over there. So yeah, I hope to see you next week, next Thursday, 8 o'clock. It's a date, okay? Yeah, but if you can, put a note in your diary. If not, you'll be able to watch it on Rewind if you're not available. So, but I hope you've enjoyed that and I will see you again soon. Take care. And if you have a go at that, please like link me in and show me or share it in the Julie Hickey Crafty Friends. Yes, Gaynor, I'm dangling the carrot. You know, that's what I'm best at. Actually, I was just going to whiz through and make sure that Anne Penny, yeah, you know I'm a tease. But, you know, I'm just going to whiz through and make sure there weren't any questions. I didn't look at the screen once, I'm afraid. I was too busy. Oh, yeah, the foam strips, they're absolutely brilliant. Oh, thank you, Muriel. That's lovely. Furry fingers. No, it's fairy. Fairy fingers because you're being light and gentle. Okay. No, I'm just saying I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I can highly recommend those strips. It's opaque, bright white. Yep. Brilliant. Love, wow. Fantastic. I love these big pots. Absolutely brilliant. So let me just whiz back a little bit more. I think that might be it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to love you and leave you. And yeah, please share what you make. And I will see you next Thursday, 8 o'clock. Okay. Here at 8. Okay. Have a lovely evening. Bye, ladies.